The battlefield. Let's close the car door up here. Not a good idea to leave that open. And where we are now is the 24th Michigan Monument of the 1st Iron Brigade, 1st Division, 1st Corps at McPherson's Woods. And this is McPherson's Woods where the Iron Brigade actually moved through. On the other side is where General Reynolds fell. So this is your look at McPherson's Woods here in Gettysburg. And on the opposite side of the road here is where the Confederates were actually charging from Archer's Brigade. Now, Archer's men moved up here. He had men of the North Carolina, of the 26th to be exact, North Carolina Regiment. And this is a marker commemorating the spot that they attacked across. And as you can see, this ground isn't flat. I mean, again, this is ridges, and you can see it kind of more defined right here. If you look down, there's a ridge going into where the Confederates were charging up here at McPherson's Ridge. So you can kind of see that ridge line and the terrain here that they had to go across. And if you come back into McPherson's Woods or Reynolds Woods, McPherson's Woods, Reynolds Woods today, you can see this terrain for yourself. And this is, again, in the Confederate spots this is where the 26th North Carolina Regiment of Pettigrew's Brigade, Hill's Division, Heath's Division, Hill's Corps, Army of Northern Virginia moved through. And they had a guy by the name of Henry King Burgoyne Jr., who was the colonel. And then they had John Thomas Jones, who was the major. John Randolph Lane was the lieutenant colonel of the 26th North Carolina Regiment. And they were getting attacked by the men of the Iron Brigade here. And of course, General Reynolds' death site is back off in the edge of the woods there. And we're headed over there now to film a little bit of that episode from here of the first day's battlefield. But, you know, the cool thing about it, if you come to Gettysburg, you can walk around and everything is marked for you. I mean, you can tell where everything is. There's books you can buy. There's hundreds and hundreds of monuments. I forgot the exact number here in Gettysburg on the battlefield. But this is commemorating Archer's Brigade, marking their positions here, 5th Battalion and 13th Alabama, 1st, 7th, 14th Tennessee Infantry. And these were the men who moved from Cashtown where we were this morning. This is where they pushed up to on that day, on that morning of July the 1st, which is today, 160 years later. They were rushing this hill at about somewhere between 9 and 11 a.m. So this is where they actually were on the morning of July the 1st, 1863. And Reynolds is going to fall at about approximately anywhere from 10 to 10:30 that morning is what is estimated and what is said. But you got to think about it. Time back then isn't the same time it is today. So it could be right around this exact time when Reynolds actually fell on the morning of July the 1st. And we're here when it happened 160 years ago. Pretty cool. So, but yeah, I mean, these plaques, man, are absolutely awesome. You can read them. July 1st, the brigade moved from Cashtown early in the morning towards Gettysburg. After a march of 6 miles, came into view of the Union forces. The brigade was deployed on the west side of Willoughby Run, and at about 10 a.m. advanced, encountered the 1st Brigade, 1st Division, 1st Corps beyond the run. The firing continued for a short time when a large force appearing on the right flank and opening a crossfire. The positions became untenable, and the brigade was forced back across the run, but advanced with a division. Later in the day, the advance in that morning reached this position. So it tells you right here, this is where they advanced to. It's cool to be standing in this spot and on the same as that day. I mean, this is just pretty neat, and we've got a lot to see, a lot to cover today. I'm gonna be doing these short live streams throughout the day for you, kind of bring you along with us when we get a little pause. I mean, because we're everywhere this morning. We're all over the place, and we've got a lot of battlefield to cover. So we're going to Devil's Den today. We're going to the wheat field today. We are going to be in the peach orchard. We're going to be along the Emmitsburg Road. We're going to be at Cups Hill. Project Past is here in Gettysburg. Also, Chris from Vlogging Through History is here in Gettysburg. JD from History Underground is here in Gettysburg. The American Battlefield Trust is here in Gettysburg. You got Chris White. You got William Frazanito, Jeff Shara. Stephen Lang is also here in Gettysburg. The famous actor from Gods and Generals in Gettysburg is also here. There's so much going on in Gettysburg today. So, of course, our time is limited. Tonight, we have the panel discussion. from Gettysburg to Normandy. Um, Basically talking about YouTube historical content creators and how they're using YouTube to take and educate others, which is pretty cool because when I first started this channel years ago, that wasn't available. There wasn't many out there. It's neat to see how JD from the History Underground has grown to be a beacon, how Chris from Vlogging Through History has grown to be a beacon addressing Gettysburg, podcasts like Addressing Gettysburg and the Battle of Gettysburg podcast have grown to be beacons of the historical education and Civil War content community. So it's pretty cool to see that. And well, here's your live look at McPherson's Woods and Reynolds Woods back here. So let's continue on. We got a lot to film and a lot to do. We'll see you in just a few.